You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
At the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream. This is AfterBuzz TV for the Sing-Off. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip about the Sing-Off. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for the Sing-Off.
Hey, everybody. How are you? It's Tamara Berg. I am here with Ronnie Jr. and Steve Bottomley for Season 3, Episode 5 of the Sing-Off Guilty Pleasures. Yeah!
Whoa, whoa.
So happy to be here. Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Awesome.
Wonderful.
It was a good show.
Before I say anything, I just want to say Mondays are kind of hard for me because I'm here for Boardwalk Empire on Sundays.
No.
Late, the last show.
Ooh.
And then Mondays for the self-employed, weekends are relaxing.
Right.
I mean, excuse me. For
Busy.
the otherwise employed,
yeah.
weekends are relaxing.
Right.
For the self-employed, there's a 7-day week.
Yes.
And so weekends, not so relaxing for people like me. And then Sunday nights, ending at, past midnight almost always. And then Monday mornings, you got to hit the road running.
Mm-hmm.
And by like 6 o'clock, I am tired. and I'm like, oh, God, but okay. I have to go out to the AfterBuzz studio. But from what I understand via text, Steve's going to show up with wine. And so that's awesome.
He did.
And Ronnie's going to be there. And it's Guilty Pleasure Night and it's the Sing-Off. So I think it'll be okay. And by the end of the night, I'm happy. And I'm so glad I'm here. And I'm so glad I'm here with you guys. And this Monday was no exception.
There's not a lot that'll take me away from football.
Right?
But
I
the
know.
Sing-Off
Monday
doesn't,
night
huh?
game.
Sadly, it
Me
really
too,
is
you
kind of
know.
a thing where I'm like going, God, I hope it's not a good game because, I'm going to be going to the Sing-Off.
He's
and-
plugged into the Sing-Off.
Yeah, so.
I know. And I made you do it.
This is from a guy that you dragged kicking and screaming.
I did.
You
I did.
just watch one. Just watch one. It's like,
Oh, he
it's just a
wasn't-
bunch of
No,
Broadway
he was not
singers.
into it. He was
As
not
a singer,
into the
he wasn't
Sing-Off.
originally into
No,
it.
he was.
Really
He
now.
was one of my many, many friends who doesn't watch the Sing-Off,
Yeah.
and I've been scolding all of them for years now. He was one of them.
I was.
It's
And,
like wildfire. It's growing.
And what do you think about the Sing-Off, Nasty?
Well, we'll get into it.
And how do you feel about me?
Well, you've been tired lately.
I know, whatever.
Well, gee, she did the mounds and mounds of homework. I mean,
I've got
no kidding.
news.
credit where credit's
Did.
due.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So let's just get right into it. We open with that fantastic opening number, which always pleases, right? I mean, it's so exciting every time. And so they did, since it's Guilty Pleasures, Lionel Richie All Night Long. Mm-hmm. Great song, fun song. And one of the things I loved about this one was that the groups were clearly identified. It was kind of a modular thing where this group did this little part and this group did this little part, and then they were all brought together.
I thought, I noticed
They
that
didn't
too.
do that before, huh?
No, not to
Not
this
as
degree.
clearly,
Yeah,
right?
right. That was the thing that I noticed, that they
Yep.
really isolated everybody, and they really kind of hit the point that this is the show that changes everything. And,
Yeah.
and as mentioned it before, this is
Oh, yeah.
20% of these people are leaving.
Hitting the road.
So if you were going to screw up, this is not the show to do it on. Because
the night.
And
yeah.
we're going to hear about
yeah,
that.
this is not the night to do it.
Right.
But they, from the opening, they kind of said, we are now sectioning you off.
Well, you
and
saw
now-
North Shore was upstairs.
Yeah.
Speaking of isolation,
Yeah.
They were the
thought-
crowd favorite, though.
They
What?
were.
I thought
Well,
maybe their hips weren't.
Well, no, that's the
Oh,
thing.
they couldn't actually move is what it comes down
Actually,
to.
Talk about it
down the
online a
stairs.
lot. The reason why they keep getting relegated to the stands is that they can't move.
Yeah.
That's why. Do you remember last week they started off in chairs?
Right. I was going to say,
True.
they don't have the chair that goes up and down the stairs
They
for them.
can't.
I thought they had
Yeah.
a couch at one point. I mean, they really were
Yeah,
relaxed.
those poor guys. They can't. They can't dance,
Yeah.
and that's okay. but it's one of the elements of the show.
Yeah.
And
Their dance moves are like their hand waving above their head or something. Like
yeah.
that's their dance.
Yeah, but
The place where I loved all night long from the very beginning, they had me at hello.
Oh, cheers.
We have water
Sarah.
now.
Now
I do anyway.
Yeah, we're on water.
But the place where I loved it from the very beginning, but the place where it really changed to me was when Vocal Point came out and that wall of sound and all of those voices, and it just really kicked it up. And I was just, well, you saw me because you always sit behind me, so
Yeah.
I feel a little like I'm being judged every week.
Oh no, it's all
Not in a
support.
bad way.
Yeah,
But I was like, boop, 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 boop.
I was too.
Totally
We'll
rocking
switch.
in my chair.
We'll switch next time.
Yeah, we should. We should.
I liked Troy. Troy's the one who always kind of stands out for me right off the beginning.
Yeah.
see, and I can't keep track of who's who. I mean, I know certain, groups.
Right. Right.
So
Well, I
for
told
me,
you
it's
to
like, well, for me, when they come out, oh, those guys.
Well,
I like
Troy's
those
Oh, those guys. I like those guys too.
Troy's gap in teeth, so you will never.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a rule of thumb
Okay.
there.
Yeah, yeah. After they finished this song, I thought, I really wished that they would take this group on tour. The whole 10 groups on tour,
Yeah.
like they do Idol, like they do Glee. I would so pay money to see these. How many voices is it at this point? Like 75 voices on tour.
Probably, yeah.
And I know that that's completely unrealistic. The logistics of that are ridiculous, but I would so pay money to see that. It would just be incredibly exciting. I went to a fantastic a cappella concert at the Henry Ford Theater. Have you ever been there? Beautiful outdoor theater across the street
near
from the Hollywood Bowl.
right?
And I saw a group called the Blenders, which is an amazing group. Have I shared the Blenders with you?
Maybe.
I think I have. They have this fantastic Christmas album. Anyway, they're sort of icons in the a cappella world, but they only do Midwest. They're from Minnesota or Michigan, one of those cold places. And so they almost never come out here. And I went to Paul Rodriguez, took me to this thing at the Henry Ford Theater. It was outdoors, and it was the first time I saw the Blenders. And it was just fantastic seeing so many of these groups that are incredibly proficient doing their thing on a stage, and I would absolutely pay to see that. And I say the logistics are really tough, and I know that's why they don't do it, but boy, that was awesome.
What if we went down to lower, like maybe 4 groups or something, the top 4?
Maybe so.
Because 10 is a lot.
Yeah, maybe so.
And you'd have to choose groups that actually every single one of them brings something different, a different style,
Oh,
a
that's
different,
true.
Because
Yeah.
if you have 2 that is like, oh yeah, I just heard that.
Yeah, we just saw
So as we will discover as we get into this.
The other thing that I just want to say before we go on any further is I want Sarah Bareilles' glitter dress.
You like the dress?
And you like the dress too.
I was a little shocked to hear Steve talk about that. I was like, am I hearing the right thing? I was.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about the dress.
I'm actually
like
married.
this
I'm married
about
with
the
2
dress.
kids, and so
He
far.
just liked this about the dress.
Well,
Let's just say. And
yeah.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Right on.
That about the dress.
Do those have Zoom? Zoom camera?
Zoom camera.
Yeah, no zoom, no zooming.
Freeze
There's
frame.
no Jesse. Thank God, no.
And
No, but I want that.
you know
dress.
that was kind of like seeing my sister do that.
I do know
That's
that.
true.
Of course, I
Kinda
know
like-
that.
it's like
Are
going-
you
You two are 20 years
Yeah.
of friendship.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Hey kids, Buzz the AfterBuzz Bee says, get back on subject.
That's a new one. Thanks, Jesse. Okay, so let's get right into it. Our first,
AfterBuzz bee.
the AfterBuzz.
Okay,
Bee.
okay. The bees are getting pissed.
Well, speaking of the bee, we had the Yellow Jackets as our first group.
Nice.
Tie-in.
Thank you very much. Nice segue.
Outstanding.
And they did Wanna Be from the Spice
Spice
Girls, which
Girls.
was hilarious, first of all. I just think it's funny. The Spice Girls, iconic in their own special way, obviously all girls. And they're all boys, the Yellow Jackets. And so they went on in. So what do you think?
I think first of all, they did it right, where they said, look, in the film, they're saying, it's a, I think they said it's a goofy song,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And they
Silly.
they owned it right away. It was a big opening. They said, we're gonna go cheeky with this. We're gonna.
They made it
just-
guilty for sure.
They did the whole British comedy camp sort of thing, and they
Yeah.
had the outfits and
Yeah.
Union Jack hat and all that stuff. And what they didn't have in it though is the breaks. There were a lot of moments that they could have filled in with another voice. and they have the voices.
Well,
to
you know
do
They got
what's so
100
funny
people in the group. Yeah, they
is
definitely
that
have the
I
voices.
felt like they really filled it out so much more than the Spice Girls did. I felt the exact opposite of that.
Really?
That the Spice Girls were kind of a soloist with some things going on in the background, a little ooh-ahs and doo-ahs in the background. And this I felt was much fuller than the original. And that's exactly what I wrote. But I really wanted Sporty Spice to go do a flip across the stage at the end. that was missing for me. What about you, Ronnie?
I mean,
What'd
I'm
you
not
think of it?
the hugest fan of this group in particular. I
Yeah.
like the way in the package the guy was talking about were the 3 all-male groups. So he's, taking aware
College
that...
groups, too.
Yeah, he's taking aware of the type of competition.
Yep.
The song itself I never really liked, but I thought they did justice. The
Yep.
skit was funny. It
Yep.
worked. And, I mean, they were interesting. They were more interesting than I've seen them in the past.
Yeah.
Ben said they were flarts.
Flarp.
What was
yeah,
that?
Wasn't that interesting? They
Yeah.
were both
They're-
flat.
yeah.
Flarp. Actually,
flarp.
flat
Flarp.
as well as
Thank you.
sharp. And it just means that, they were kind of all over the place.
Yeah, they
But
were. It was a little bit pitchy, but
I didn't really hear that so much. But I thought Jamal, who did the bass, he did the boom, 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 and he did a couple of bass things where he was fantastic when he came in. I mean, I really liked it. It wasn't a massive star-studded event, but I liked it.
yeah, it kept him off the bubble.
Yeah.
It was enough to keep him off the
Yeah,
bubble.
it was
but
solid.
I would keep an eye on these guys. Like, you're going to have to pick up your game,
Right.
and you're going to have to really start watching some of the other guys that know about song structure and know hooks.
You're going to
and
come back
know-
to that.
Yeah. So I would say Yellow Jacket is
Because
probably.
I know that about you.
I'd say Yellow Jacket is probably. Well, that's not right. That's
We're not doing predictions
we're not
right
doing
now.
predictions. So,
Let's move
anyway,
on to
moving
Delilah,
I don't want
the
that beady
super
yelling.
group who, Jesse and I in the first week, we didn't want to like them, and we really did. And I think the didn't want to like them thing is coming up more and more. You're not quite caught up with us, right? Because you didn't see tonight's episode, Jesse.
No, I'm an episode behind.
Yeah, okay. So you'll get to see Delilah doing What a Feeling. I loved the opening tableau that they had with the girls on the, chair doing the flash dance thing. Like,
right. Yeah.
What's her name did with the water.
Jennifer Beals.
Jennifer Beals with the water coming down on her in the strip club.
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent. But I had a lot of criticism about this. I thought that their energy was really low. I felt like the percussion could have been because this is all of these pop songs. The beat is critical, and I felt it was really lacking. What do you think? Because I
You're
see that you
absolutely
talking
right.
about
No, the thing that makes it a guilty pleasure is you don't have to think about the song because the beat is there.
Right.
And it's a steady 4/4. You can
Right.
just pop, pop, pop. You can tap your feet. And if you don't have that, you have a choice. You can go completely off that, like North Shore kinda did in the opening of their song.
Yep.
Or you have to acknowledge it and keep it going and get the crowd behind you. And I have a lot of the same thing. It was kind of pitchy at the beginning. They were, and I have a note here saying it just felt like the speaker was broken. You weren't getting all of the
Right.
music.
You weren't getting the whole spectrum.
Right.
They
There
were-
was just too much missing. And I'm sorry, real quick. They were on the bubble last week.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
Delilah?
Yep. They were.
And they were really trying to show that, they were not going to be there again.
Right.
And when they said, no, we're going to do What a Feeling, I said, okay, but remember, power does not equal structure.
That's right.
And they went with power, and there was no structure. So.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and they're always defeated. I mean, they've been defeated in the opening when they're talking about what they're going to sing. They're defeated when they walk up there. They're defeated when they
Do
get
you mean
judged.
in their attitude?
I think so, and I
Uh-huh.
think that plays
Okay.
an impact
With the
in
film
today.
and everything?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they were trying so much to prove something, and they
Yes.
were not having fun. And at the end of the day, this is an NBC show. Like, you should have fun with it. And they definitely don't really do that, in my opinion.
That was the vibe I got, too. It's just like, we're the underdogs, but they don't really have that underdog energy.
Yeah.
It's more
All that
like-
pressure they put on
And
themselves.
instead
it's-
of like standing up against the powers, they're holding onto the cliff, and it's a different kind of
Right.
underdog.
And it's coming from kind of defense as opposed
Yeah.
to offense.
Right.
Exactly.
To bring back Monday Night Football,
Yeah,
as
I
Steve and
know.
I are missing tonight.
Slick.
I thought Candace, though, the lead, did a really great job. I thought she was really good. But for the most part, they were doing a lot of the harmonies as really simple harmonies and in certain places unison. I wasn't quite listening because it's that challenge of writing our notes while
Right.
we're watching. There were either unison or simple harmonies in a lot of it, and I wanted it to be bigger. I wanted it to be fuller. I wanted it to be stronger.
Right.
And it just didn't get there for me.
And that's the challenge that a lot of these groups are going to start to have, which is, what is the song?
Mm-hmm.
Break it down. Where's the hook? And you have to work to the hook and fill it.
Right.
And if you can't, like I said, it sounds like only half the song is being sung.
Well, and Sarah's comment was something about how this song was suited perfectly for their personality, and they did a great job. And the thing is you and I talked about this on Tuesday, I think, of last week, because we had our show on Monday night, and then we saw each other Tuesday during the day. And I talked about how Sonos did I Want You Back, and it was really good. I just didn't like their interpretation. And that was kind of the same thing I felt about this, was they did a good job. It was absolutely proficient, but with a couple of misses that I said, but I just didn't like their interpretation. And so that's why it just didn't catch me. There's another group that comes later where I did, and so we'll talk about that. What do you have, Ronnie?
Well, there was one comment from the judge is range spread. For like the couch potato, what does range spread exactly mean? I mean, that was mentioned by, I think, Ben.
Right.
Well, it kind of goes to the note we're talking about, only hearing half of the song.
Okay.
A lot of their range was tenor and soprano and...
Well, they don't really have, because they're an all-girl group.
Yeah.
So the thing is you go, an all-girl group should have the same sort of deficiencies as well as benefits as an all-boy group. And the truth of the matter is that they're not equal, because boys can sing in falsetto and they can hit the higher girl kind of notes, and girls can't hit the bottom equivalent of a falsetto to get a bass note. And so they can't, they just, by virtue of their anatomy, can't hit those low notes and bring out the fullness like men can. And so they just don't have, it's soprano, alto, alto, and a little bit of tenor, and the girls can't hit those bass notes, and so you don't get the fullness of range. And so that's sort of what he's talking about.
And to compensate for that, you have to be more creative with your voices. You have to drop in where you feel that it just feels light, or there's an opening in the music or a gap. So because of that limitation, you have to look at the song a little bit smarter and break it up a little bit. And if you don't, then it sounds really like half of the karaoke group showed up.
Right.
And that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
And they were on the bubble, right?
Yeah, they've been for a couple weeks,
It was
maybe.
between them and North Shore.
No, it was between. Oh wait, no, excuse me. I turned my page too far. It was between North Shore and I didn't write who else.
I think it was Delilah.
Okay, I think it was too.
Okay.
Because you predicted it. Yes, that's how it went. Okay, so then we had. Speaking of which, we had
You've
North
got
Shore.
power.
I do.
Who started off the week trying to do Mbop by Hanson.
Which is a great
Yes,
guilty
I
I
pleasure
heard that,
song.
and I heard that, and I said, "Well, there's a genius move, because that's bebop. That is
Screams guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and that's street corner, all of that." I'm like going, "Well, that's perfect." And they're going, "Yeah, we're gonna go show everyone we're young by doing the young thing," and for whatever reason, they couldn't get it together until 2 days before the show. They decided to switch over
They
to
bailed.
Power
of Love, right?
Power of Love.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how did 5 guys with this talent not nail that down? It had to be some sort of internal thing where somebody was just like
overanalyzing it or something?
overanalyzing or having a hissy fit or something. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But to have that amount of talent on that song, which is not a technical song.
No, not at all.
It's a really straightforward,
Well, they
simple
made
song.
it sound. Guy, I think, said in the filmed package beforehand. He said that this was the simplest song that we'd been given, and we should be able to nail it, and we just couldn't get it together. And maybe it was too simple, and trying to add extra layers and extra voices was just clogging the drain or something.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
might have
know.
been it. I don't know either. But for whatever reason, 2 days to go, they went with the Power of Love. And I thought, at the beginning, oh, well, there's another genius move, because they came in nice and slow. And
Very
I've heard
slow, kind of bluesy.
And I've heard a slow version of this. Just this one guy in an acoustic guitar, and it was about the speed that they started with. And it's a really cool song when they slow it down like that. And I thought, okay, maybe they heard that version. Maybe they're going to go ahead and do it this way. but they didn't have the pop. They didn't have that change when they finally brought it up to the tempo, and it just. And here's another thing where I think the film prejudiced the viewer.
Okay.
Because you go, oh, you only had 2 days to do this. This is gonna suck. You know what I mean?
Your mind automatically connects to that.
Yeah, you're
That
like when the girl says laryngitis. So you're like, oh my God,
You're
she's
searching
probably
to see that. Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, if you had seen a scene where they said, yeah, we got Power of Love and we are gonna turn this thing on its ear because we got this really good, then you'd be going, oh yeah, well there you go. These guys are awesome. Look what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of the film, I think I would have had the same critique, which is there was just the energy wasn't there. There was something missing. It really felt like they did this in 2 days. Bless you. And they needed 5.
Right. What's your take, Ronnie?
I mean, they just didn't bring it. I mean, the coolest thing about them was the sunglasses and the suits, and it was just pretty weak to watch as a fan, and you want to see every week they've been so exciting, and then you're watching and you're like, oh, it's going to be exciting, but it was definitely not. So, and then the judges were pretty tough on them too, which was interesting. I at first thought, oh, it was just being tough because they had set the bar pretty high, for themselves.
Yes.
But I guess it just wasn't really that strong of a performance when you break it down.
Well, for me, that bluesy opening, I wanted to like it, but again, I'm used to hearing the big horn section that opens the Huey Lewis version and that sort of thing, and they really narrowed it down, made it bluesy, made it slow, and it didn't really go anywhere until the bridge where they were doing the.
Right.
And from then on, I really liked it, but I thought, like so many times, where they're trying, and we've talked before about making a build. You have to start somewhere to go somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
But I felt like it took them too long to get to the build, and this is what I wrote. The reason it's a hit is because it's poppy and it's fun, and you didn't do it that way. And at the end of it, they looked pissed. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, they
Their
did.
faces.
You would have never thought Guy would have acted like that because he was the most positive one. I kept making notes every single time we watched. Like,
That's why, that's why I thought there was an internal thing going on, because it really looked like.
good call on that.
I
Maybe.
bet you're right.
No, I
Making
really-
the band. This is where they all break up.
Well,
That's the show we really
seriously,
want to
but
watch.
when you see something like that happen,
Oh,
there's an
that
internal
makes so
struggle
much
going.
sense now that you say that.
I mean,
So maybe
again, I
one
don't
of the
know.
guys was going, this isn't working, was being a stand for, I'm not doing this damn song anymore. And they all had to cave to that one person's.
perhaps.
It was
I don't
creative
know.
differences at its best,
That's
and
exactly
But seriously,
it.
Kinda ruined them.
seriously, if you have Mbop with this band,
Yeah. They should have
know,
been able to do it.
that's a great recipe for them. Yeah, exactly. They should have did it.
Yeah.
I just want to
Commit,
say,
commit.
at the finish of this, I really honestly kind of teared up a little bit because I love them so much. I love them much better than the group from Oakland that was the same category last season.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember their name, and they were incredibly charming, older guys, did that classic doo-wop stuff. But these guys had so much more charm with them. North Shore does, and it just made me really sad when they finished that performance because they did not live up to their potential,
They
for
knew.
lack of a better cliche.
They knew. They
And
knew
everyone
that.
was a
Yeah.
little shocked too. I mean, it was a little like,
Yeah.
really? They're bad? I
But
mean,
you know what? When you were talking about the judges being a little bit harder
Yeah.
on them, it is kind of like seeing, well, again, pro football. When you see a receiver drop a really easy pass, you don't do that. You're in the pros.
exactly.
Right.
So when these guys come out, they are the pro players.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
Of all
they,
of them.
Yes, and so they have to step up every
Yep.
single
And
time.
you definitely got to feel like you're willing to keep going through that door. You set the bar high, continue. I mean,
Yep.
that shouldn't be a pressure thing at all. But
And it
Yep.
goes back to the thing is, as a pro, you go, look, this is a song we were given. We've got X amount of days to get this right. If we're not getting this right, it's not the song. This is not a hard song to get. And we're smart enough to fill in wherever we need. So
Right.
professionally, you take a
Right.
look at the structure and say, what's going on?
I want to make sure that we get through everything, but you
Right.
and I have, we've been in groups before. We've been really locked into that internal power struggle thing going
Yes.
on. And
I was right, by the way.
because we were on the same team. I know you were right. You can never say there's one way to deal with that.
No, there
And
isn't.
so-
Except with the whole point of the show is single focus to a single note, and you know what I mean? And
It's all about the work.
It's all about the work.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Collective, who did I Will Survive. Rachel and Ruby, the two girls doing the lead. And I thought they brought it. I thought it was great. I just thought it was excellent.
They weren't a little screechy at one point. I don't know if screechy's the right.
That's
No.
a perfectly
I mean,
acceptable term.
just a little.
At the end.
Yeah, you
Right.
guys both mentioned that, and
Right.
and I would say so too.
I think it was the one girl trying to
Rachel.
match.
Which one? I was going to
match
say.
Rachel
the other
trying to
girl.
meet Ruby.
Yeah, and she couldn't, and it sounded. My note on it is you're going to do a disco song, and you're not going to have a 4/4 disco beat underneath there.
Yep.
And that was what the judges were saying
Yep.
too.
That was
It's
pretty
like,
much what Sean said specifically.
Yeah, it's disco.
Yeah.
Where's the beat?
Right.
And it's not hard to do, and that's all they needed to do actually is just give that. Doom, doom, doom,
Well, and especially because it was all guys. It was the girls singing the lead and the guys doing the backup, and they should have been able to do that. So it wasn't a perfect performance by any means.
and they have to do a Tina Turner song at some point. They just have to because Ruby, she has the moves.
Yeah.
She has the look. She could
They probably will.
sing the hell
Not
out of it.
next week, but they probably will.
Probably not.
Ben's notes on them were so interesting to me, and it just once again made me say, "I want to hang out with you, Ben Folds." and watching him, but one of the things we'll get to it a little bit in the news, but he is helping produce Sarah Bareilles' next record, and his notes are insightful, and it would be so interesting just to watch him do what he does because I just think he's so good, and his notes on that group I thought was really excellent.
I think he'd be a really good teacher.
Yeah.
Honestly, to just be able to hang and ask him questions, and I think he'd really take the time. And you think he should have his own talk show.
He should have. Well, now I'm still sticking with what you're talking about. I almost want to see him going with the groups and kind of training them, or being like a mentor of some sort.
Well, I'm just going to go to this now because we were going to go to it in the news. But Sarah Bareilles says that in November she's heading to Nashville to record an EP with Ben Folds, who will also produce the disc. And she says, he's a great mentor for me. He's an incredibly smart, talented man, and I feel I have a lot to learn from him.
Oh, nice.
And so I think he's really insightful with what he does.
He also deserves a once a week, maybe 30 minutes.
Right.
I'm thinking with the correspondent, the Tamara Twist.
Oh, yeah.
Half-hour variety show. Fox 11, maybe. I don't know. Well, NBC. We'll do NBC.
Yeah, do it on NBC.
Yeah, PBS.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And I can totally travel to Nashville because I have friends there.
You are ready.
I am so ready.
Yeah,
I'll
he's
travel
just
anywhere.
he's so funny. And I think what's cool about this show is a lot of people who do watch it are like you guys. You sing and you know all the technical terms. And then there's the couch potato crowd who want to just like see it and be entertained. Yep. So Ben kind of brings that together. You're like, it's screechy, but then you hear the actual terms and you learn. And I mean, by my fourth week here, you start plugging in more and more. Right. Ben is a major aspect into that, I think.
And he's very,
all of them, really,
he's very approachable. He's very folksy. He doesn't make you feel like he brings out these amazing notes, but doesn't make you feel stupid listening to them.
Right.
I think he's fantastic. So, anyway.
Of all the judges, he is the funnest one to listen to. He's the antithesis of the other guy, not
Sean Stockman.
No, from Idol. I forgot his name.
Simon?
Simon.
Yeah.
The antithesis of
No,
Simon.
because he loves everybody.
Yes.
And he wants them all to succeed.
Yes.
And he loves music.
Yes.
And Simon loves business.
My points would be so much better if they were all in my head when I start talking.
I'll help you out. Okay, so then we go to the Dartmouth Airs. We gotta get moving.
Yeah,
people.
I'm sorry.
Dartmouth Airs sing Jesse's Girl. Brendan on the lead. What do I have here? I can't
Jesse's
tell what I was
Girl.
saying.
I know we're writing and being amused at the same time, which makes it tough.
I just thought it was so much fun.
Yeah.
They
So
are
much fun.
theatrical.
Yep.
They are theatrical. It didn't go anywhere in the chorus, though. That's what I have.
Really?
Yeah, it just seemed like they hit the chorus and then it just kind of stayed there. That it didn't rise up to that chorus. It didn't, because again, these are the songs where you listen for certain things. There's certain moments in the song that you're always like going, and there it is, and you have to identify those and bring those to the stage.
I felt it really hit them all for me, but you had a really important couple of things to say.
Well, I mean, I
actually.
definitely think that I do have a note that says there could have been more. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was kind of already plugged into them from last week. I liked when they performed Animal. So I'm kind of like becoming a fan of theirs, and I'm always interested to see what they do. The song is great. And I feel like one of these, people in the group should be spotted out by like Ryan Murphy
it's Michael.
That's
Michael.
exactly
That's
who
his
I had.
name.
He was the star.
And I wrote that he is riveting and he pulls focus, but not in a bad way. You know, a lot of times when we talk about theatrical productions, it's bad to pull focus because if you're doing this, when you should be doing this, then it's a bad thing. But he's just riveting. I want to look at him all the time. He's not
trying.
He's just
is.
being.
He has it.
Yeah,
and they have
He's
two
got it.
They have two leads, right? They have Brendan is also.
I can't read my note. It looks like Henry or.
Is that a wine stain on it?
I don't know. I think it's Henry doing the harmony is what I wrote.
Okay.
Here, can anybody else read what that says right
Definitely
there?
not. No.
Yeah.
I think it's Henry though.
Yeah.
Doing the harmony, and I thought they did a great job together.
Yeah,
I
would love
to.
Yeah, and I would love to see this group. Like I said, I mean, obviously we judge it from each performance, but you know, it is kind of cool to become a fan of a group and see them go from week to week to week.
Yeah.
This one I kind of am starting to get a good feel for sure.
For me, I just felt the bottom was a little bit weak. Those lower kind of anchoring notes were a little weak. That was really my only criticism. And that's it. So then we moved to who was we eliminated.
We had to kick one off.
And it was between Delilah and North Shore, and we pretty much knew who it was going to be from there.
North Shore
sad.
had to
I
go.
thought
it was going to be at the end of the show. All of a sudden, somebody
I know
goes.
You were, what Wade? You made me pause the recording.
I was a little shocked. I mean, yeah, the last couple of weeks we waited till the very end, so we didn't even get to do our little evaluation as quick,
We had to pull out the defibrillator for him.
But this one was bad. This was a bad elimination, but it was deserved, I guess, or they had their time.
I mean, if you have to judge them on what they're doing this week, they didn't do as well as they could have.
But an awesome swan song.
They did
All three of us liked
I
it.
really got the feeling that was how they end their set all the time.
Yeah.
And,
it was their closing song whenever they do a show.
Yeah, and I think that's what we saw tonight is they were thrown a huge curve for whatever reason, and this is what happens. You either step up to the plate or you sing your swan song.
The one thing that I can hope for them is they've gotten obviously national attention by doing this show, and that it will bring them more gigs, more opportunities, more of everything.
Or they're so pissed off at each other right now.
So sorry, and I wonder.
You know what I also wondered? They all do that social media stuff from the NBC page.
Yeah.
But these guys, weren't even around probably when computers were, kind of made.
Yeah, I know.
So I wonder if they even do any of that, but I'm sure they have to. So.
Well, yeah, we'll have to check it out.
I'm gonna
and
go
see.
read it.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're gonna have a really nice Facebook page.
Yeah.
I found a great website from which our news is going to come later in the night, but starpulse.com, and they do interviews with the kicked off groups after they're out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they say about.
It'll be all positive. Their swan song, they were smiling.
Of course they will.
They were proud.
We want the dirt is what we want.
We want the making the band.
We want to know. We want the making the band info.
Yeah.
I was watching the other groups as people do their swan song, and I'm just wondering if they're like going, yeah, when I do mine, I'm going to do it, and then catch themselves like, oh, wait, no, I'm never doing mine. I'm never doing mine. You know what I mean? Because it must be weird. Anyway.
Okay, so now second bracket, we move to Afro Blue doing I Want to Dance, Whitney song. And my opening my note was that the opening was proficient, which is not really a big compliment in my world. Slightly thin. They needed a guy, to be filling in the baritone. Or maybe not. I just wasn't really clear on where it was going. And then Ben actually said something quite similar. Again, making me feel smart again. And then I actually love the Soul Train. I mean, wedding dance that Sarah got.
It is a Soul Train line, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
Go, Steve, go.
No, you know what? Brand new dance, the wedding march. I love that wedding march you did. And Sean's just going, it's Soul Train.
He did say that, yeah. He
did.
Well, the whole audience was going, it's Soul Train.
She's white. She's from a small town in Oregon.
Yeah, they probably never, ever
She's
saw
young.
Soul Train.
She never saw Soul Train.
Well, you guys were talking about your fans, and Afro Blue really is the group that I'm like, locking into.
You're rooting in.
Really?
Yeah, ever
Cool.
since I heard them the first time doing the whole Manhattan Transfer, jazzy thing sort of thing. And
they're really talented.
And I keep waiting to hear that shade to come back, and when they want to do the dance with somebody, my note is, well, maybe the original is boring. Because
that's kind of a good compliment.
Right.
Yeah,
that
maybe
was
so.
a really boring song.
Well,
I like the choreography. I like all the different dances they did, including the wedding dance.
And the wedding dance.
But-
they did a
but
little samba thing in there
yeah,
too.
yeah, that was
Quite
all of that was cool, and they were
entertaining.
very good at it.
Yep.
But the song itself was just
Well,
boring.
what was your note? Do you remember your comment at the very end of the song? Song's over, people are clapping, and you go,
That's incredible if you remember his
Yeah.
comment.
I just went,
huh.
Yeah.
And
You know
that's
why?
exactly
Because
what I wrote.
Because it's like they completely took the stuff that makes them unique and cool and said, well, let's just set that aside and do this guilty pleasure. And it was just
It worked for them.
It did. I just think they weren't in their element, and they're gonna get to be in their element later. You had something to say?
No, I you know what? They are one of the groups that I feel are the most cohesive.
Yeah.
It's such a team, and that's
Yeah.
always good to watch. The only thing I would say is like the Whitney Houston, video. Maybe you could have dressed more similar to that. That could have been fun. They stayed in their style. It's a guilty pleasure week. You could have had fun with it. You could have had fun with the overall look. But the dance was good, and
But they always were blue because they're Afro blue.
you could have done a headband blue or.
Is that the one where Whitney? No, that was the other one where she wore
I mean,
those
it's
big
that
giant earrings.
it's that general era,
Yeah.
But no, they are solid. They're one of the favorites.
Yeah.
and they are like I said,
Well,
they're
I
team.
think we're nitpicking when we're starting.
One of them
to
needed
find...
a white dress and a tux because it was a wedding dance.
Yeah.
We got to get that covered. So
Yeah.
Moving on.
Next we have Pentatonix doing
Pentatonix.
Video Killed the Radio Star.
Well, not originally. Originally, they were going to do Believe.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then they changed it. And that was
Right.
another one where I went,
Which is not a guilty pleasure. It's just a guilty. That's it. That's
Yeah.
no pleasure with that song.
Okay,
Well,
Ronnie
and-
has an opinion about that song.
But I like where they went. I like the different song. I mean,
Yeah.
the one they chose
Yeah.
was a little more
but
exciting to me.
again, when you know that in the film, you're thinking, okay, we got problems already because, now
which-
at the last minute, you guys are switching something up. That means everyone else has been locked in for a while.
She said, Christine was one of the girls in the group. She said, I don't want a fear of the criticism. I don't want that criticism to hinder our performance. So yeah, they're putting that kind of energy in the air. So
Right.
everyone's looking, kind
Right.
of at what Christine's going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I thought the song was great, but when they did the I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hit this, but the
Yeah.
that part, I wanted it to be brighter and sharper because it's so bright and sharp in the original, and it's so highlighted. It wasn't there for me. But again, the second half was really good.
Yes.
I liked how they updated the song
Yeah.
and made it not a literal translation of the '80s version. I thought it was great. I really liked it.
When I watched it, I looked at myself or felt my cheeks. So I was like, I'm smiling. So, whatever compliment that is, I was like,
Yep.
I'm smiling. So, it was like that proud,
Yeah.
parent kind of feel, sort of a thing. So
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
no children, so I don't really know what that meant.
I thought it was stilted at the beginning. I thought it was stilted and really
Yeah.
tight. Like they weren't sure that this was a good choice for them to do. But then something shifted halfway through. I felt that same thing. And here's what finally has happened. Not only did they go to the envelope, they opened it up and they said, hey, what about if we make this sound? What about if we start doing this? What about if we start doing something besides singing and beatbox? And they start bringing in, like Ben says, the synthesizer sounds
Yeah.
and everything. And that's what these guys are going to have to start doing. They're going to have to start really thinking beyond just voice.
And they can.
And-
They have the talent to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the other groups better take notice because we saw that a couple of times tonight, and both times the audience really responded to it. So that was really cool, and I think that's what saved them from getting off the bubble because if they hadn't had that energy change, I think they would have been.
There was a comment on this one, on top of the beat. That was this group.
Oh, right. So, Steve, take it.
On top of the beat means that you're rushing the well, usually it's a downbeat, it's like 4/4. You're just moving forward a little bit because you're either unsure about the arrangement, you're unsure about the notes. You don't know the
Nervous or
song.
nervous.
You're nervous.
It could be
that
for
too.
whatever
Sometimes,
reason.
yeah.
You don't know the song well enough, and you're compensating.
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's what that means.
So anyway, next we went to the Deltones, Listen to Your Heart. And I thought it was just a pretty song. I was looking at, I think it was NBC or the Facebook page of the Sing Off. And this is at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon today when they had released the song list that was
Okay.
going to be happening. And a guy named Peter wrote on one of the message boards, he says, based on the list, I declare that Delilah and the Deltones were going to be gone just because of the song choices.
Wow.
And he was so close with that. Delilah on the bubble for us especially, and Deltones gone.
Yes.
So I just thought it was a really bad song choice for them.
Didn't Sarah also talk about song choice quite a bit this episode? She had mentioned that.
Yeah,
a
that
couple
was her
times.
word du jour. Choice.
Yeah.
Choice.
Yeah.
No more you had me at, but it was song
No,
choice.
it was
choice.
song
If we-
choice. Your
yeah.
choices,
Drink,
your
drink,
song
drink.
choices.
You know, when you do a lot of bung and bing and bung, those are really hard to hit.
Yep.
They're very hard, especially if you have to, maintain odd harmonies and try to make it interesting and everything. And if you miss, it really sticks out. And that's what their problem was. And if you start with that and you miss it, now you're behind the eight ball. Now it's really hard to stay out of your mind and go, oh my God, I got to get this back. I got to get this back.
Yeah. Well, and it's not enough, especially in an all a cappella competition show, to just sing a pretty song. You have to bring, to equate it to acting, accents.
Right.
When you play the poor, victimized woman or whatever, that's what gets the attention of people. And the vocal equivalent of this would be the tricks, so to speak, within singing of those percussion things, the beautiful falls and the bends that we've talked about a few times, things like that. That's what really makes you stand out from the other groups. And this was just a pretty song, and their dresses were hideous.
You know what?
And their walk dance move was,
You were commenting
one girl was
on
like
that.
a linebacker, the way she walked up. They were, a lot of.
Walking down the stairs.
I guess we're going to start seeing this more and
I
more.
love that dance.
Which is
pretty.
That is very
Yeah,
nice.
thank you.
you really know the groups that have it nailed, and you really know the groups that aren't ready. And for me, it was a really good high school choir song.
Oh, great! No, that was that was good.
That really was. I'm watching it going, yeah, I could see this being done by a high school choir.
And I watched the other performance I was telling you where I was like, oh, I'm smiling.
Yes.
This one, I was like, oh, deer in headlights. And I looked up at you two and I was like, you guys might have had the same thing too.
Yes.
I know for sure I was like, yeah,
Yes.
a lot of O's.
And here's
O's.
the hard
Yeah.
part for Delton. I
honey.
feel sorry for him, but okay, so they know that they didn't match Afro Blue and Pentatonix.
Right.
And then they got Urban Method and Vocal Point coming up.
And this is where it's a killer. So
Oh,
Urban
poor
Method
kids.
did Poison. What's
what
your
is the
connection to
tie-in?
that song?
No, well, that is a Ronnie karaoke song for sure.
Oh, really?
Who doesn't love saying? I'm gonna
do it.
The quote.
Sing it.
Can't trust a big button to smile. That girl is poison. I mean, that is so fun for me. This is if I have 1 drink, 0 drinks, 15 drinks. That is my song.
That's your song.
That's one.
That's
And
your
I'll
song.
I'll butcher it and I'll be all the happier. Like it does
Right
not bother me.
on, mister. That's it.
Isn't that Japanese karaoke Japanese for butchered song? Right?
Yes, it is, I think. This was absolutely my favorite of the night. I thought they just completely nailed it.
Oh, should we dance?
Jesse, bring it in the mood.
Oh, the lights are going. Very nice.
I dance like a white guy. I dance
Wonderful.
like a white guy. I
Well,
dance
speaking
like
of
an
white
old
guys,
white
poor
guy.
Ben, he's so white. He is
Oh,
so
he
white
is.
from Nashville. And Sean, Sean's doing all the lingo and all. Not that I can do it because I'm pretty much Norwegian right here. But I can move, I can dance. Ben, poor Ben, no, he can't.
There was an interesting thing that happened here. First of all, on the song, I couldn't see anything wrong with it, man.
No, I loved it.
I was hooked from the
Every
minute.
minute.
The bends, everything that
Yep.
everything was tight.
And such a great song to showcase that, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
it's all in the song.
This was one where they got it quick.
Yeah.
And they just practiced the
Yep.
hell out of it. And did
Yep.
you see how much fun the judges were having after
Yes.
this? That kind of energy just transferred right over to
Oh,
the
you
judges.
mentioned that. That was good.
Yeah, and they were just like
Yeah.
goofing on
That's-
it and stuff, and they love that. They love being able to just have that energy and feel that from the stage.
and get to be enrolled in the joy that these people.
It was a big moment because, of course, Michael Bivins of Belle Biv DeVoe is the one who signed Sean, and the Boyz II Men group.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
you had that sort of energy you're talking about, a great performance,
Yeah.
and then you had Ben rapping because of it. So, all in
Right.
all, it was definitely
Which was
it was
hilarious.
the highlight. We'll see that.
White guy
Again.
rap.
Yeah.
in his variety
The
show
best
that
part-
I'm going to be a correspondent
You
on.
are.
Yes.
You are. We're putting it in the universe, so it's
Yeah.
going to happen.
The best part of Ben rapping is him pushing his glasses back up in syncopation with the rap. It was very well done.
Then we had Vocal Point, who did Footloose.
Oh, my
They're the
God.
Mormon guys, and you know, they just need some good, clean fun, and they brought it. I thought it was great. I just thought it was great. It was so fun. It was exactly what you want from that song.
Ben came back. Was it Ben?
Yes, Ben.
Yep.
Whose dad died.
And you know what? Honestly, I think you could feel that homecoming
yeah.
energy. I really think they did this for Ben.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just they got the hook right away. They got the dynamics right. They just said, we're going to own the stage tonight.
Yep.
And they absolutely did. There was nothing wrong with that one either.
It was
There
my
were
second
two-
favorite of the night.
there
I
were
just thought it was
two
fantastic.
Great, right in a row. And
Yep.
Del Tonto.
And this was the one with Jake, that kid Jake. I guess the quote was, Sean said, "Jake, you are sick." I mean, it's just
Yeah.
that was the general emotion. And
Yeah.
then he had a performance good a couple weeks ago where they were doing the swooning. So Jake is kind of hitting it back to back. I mean, the group itself, but
yeah.
he may end up on Glee too.
And I thought Ross, I think, was the lead. He was just amazing. I thought he was just fantastic.
Yeah, these
Loved
guys
him.
know structure. They know where the hook is. They
That's
know
the
how
word.
To
That's
bring-
what that says right there. Structure.
Structure.
That's
They
I can't
know,
read my notes once
and
again.
they know where the power of the song is.
Yes.
And how to get in. You could feel the audience just jumping in on that song. It was an excellent choice, and they brought it. And it was. And my only other note I have on this is, why are there no headset mics? It'd be so much easier for these guys to have a headset. Instead of having to do that, they have another hand that they could kind of like dance and do stuff with.
I
But
don't know. They've done
anyway.
them before, but I think it has everything to do with being able to hear everybody else.
That might be it.
Because you've got to hear what your guys are doing
Right.
right next to you, not not headphones.
Right.
And so then
That's probably
I don't
why.
know. I
No,
don't know,
that
but
makes
that might
the
be.
most sense.
They also had the red jackets.
Yeah.
No, they did.
They jumped up and down and danced a lot. That was fun. And then
Homage
there's
to Kevin Bacon.
and then there's the movie out right now, so that
Yeah.
it ties in. So good song choice. That was a good one.
Great. Good
That
choice.
was a good one.
Good choice. So then up for elimination, we had the Deltones and Afro Blue. Obviously, we all felt like Deltones were on their way. It was. Do you think that any of the decision for them to leave had to do with their placement in the lineup?
Being third, you mean, or
No, having those other two behind them that just kicked ass.
no?
I don't think
You think it was
so.
just luck of the draw?
I don't. Yeah, either way you cut that, even if they followed one of those guys,
Yep.
it would be obvious that they weren't up there.
Yeah. Okay.
I really think that they weren't not going to do it.
Yeah.
Who do you
Yeah.
think was like second? Your opinion on second?
Unfortunately, I think they were right. I think
Oof.
Afro Blue, because
Yeah.
they didn't bring their signature sound.
Right.
They didn't say, sure, it's this guilty pleasure, but we're going to make it ours.
That's definitely how you could tell we're from 16 to 8 groups now. When
Yeah.
when those type of comments right there.
Right.
Right,
It's
and this is
getting
where
harsh.
and they need to remember everything that got them where they are, and not abandon it, but embrace it and make it bigger. And the bands that can do that. So, I do have one note on the Urban Method, the one that raps.
Yeah.
I don't know if it raises a cappella or if it nerds out rap. I can't figure out how that mix is.
Well,
If it really hips out the acapella,
do you notice
or
that they did not? There was a little section that is rap, but it's in the original song
Yeah.
that way. But the rest of it, he was singing, and we
Right.
actually had a comment from Liz Hudson. I hope I can say her name. Yeah, it was on our Facebook page, so it's
Right.
relatively public. She said, "I listened to your comments on the sing-off, and Urban Method's Mike Charles, the rapper, did a cappella for 4 years in college with no rapping." And then I have another little story about him, that he actually started off in the hip hop scene. His rap name was Purpose. And I'm sorry, I can't remember where I got this from. But he did a lot of rapping, but then he was a singer. More specifically, he changed his name to Mike Charles and started singing as much as he was rapping. And he won Denver's local American Idol competition as a singer, not as a rapper. So he obviously can sing.
Right.
And so I think he's just getting to do double duty. I think that he's elevating. In my opinion, because he's not just a rapper, because he can sing, I think he's elevating
Yeah, no one wants
he's
to.
elevating
a cappella.
acapella. Okay.
I don't think anyone wants to watch it if it's like gimmicky or if they're gonna push it through for
Yep.
every song. But that song was
Yep.
definitely perfect
Yep.
for it. I think the other song they did it with was like a Black Eyed Peas song. So they're
Yeah.
sort of choosing the right one. You just
Yep.
don't want to see it overdone,
Right.
especially if
Right.
he has the vocal range too.
Yeah, and he sang in the opening song,
Yeah.
the Lionel Richie song. He did not rap at all, and
Right.
it was beautiful.
Here's the challenge though for the groups that have a lot of voices. They've got to make themselves sound distinguished. That's what Ben Folds keeps talking about is if we're going to cut a record, how are you going to be different than everybody else?
That's right.
When you have a few voices, you have a lot more room to be creative, to be, to break it open. When you have a lot of voices, it really does kind of put you in a box on, what you can do unless you're really creative and really tight, because if you have one guy go off, well, you better be able to cover that with something. It makes more sense to have it in a quintet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
I want to see you two sing one day.
Oh,
I'm gonna be.
I don't know that you'll
we'll karaoke with you one day.
So Afro Blue got voted off, and their goodbye song, or their swan song, was "Goodbye Goodbye" by Michelle Branch.
No, it was
and,
the Deltones that got voted off.
Excuse me, not Afro Blue. Afro Blue, it was just over my notes. Deltones. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
That's
Wrong.
okay.
And Ronnie, you had a brilliant, very insightful comment about how that was going to affect the rest of the season. And that was
Yes, well, there's going to be a lot less hair and makeup to deal with. And I'm assuming there was a trainer to help that girl who was walking. She should have sang "Walk Like Walks Like a Man." Yeah, talks like, because she was strong. She was a strong woman.
she was a strong
So
woman,
there's going to be
indeed.
some feminine coach that does not need to show up to the set anymore.
Okay.
There's going to be a few less audience chairs too.
All that.
evidently.
All
Right,
that.
because
'Cause they all
the
go-
voted off teams end up in the audience.
Yeah. And
You noticed that? Yeah, you noticed.
Yeah, Moy
was in.
over the shoulders of the North Shore when they were on their way out. So I think we want to go to commercial real quick, and then we're going to come back with a little bit of news. I'm going to cut my news down, but we have some, so we'll see in a minute.
The biggest new media platform on the web just got bigger. More bandwidth, smoother streaming, lightning fast download.
Don't get technical with me.
AfterBuzz TV is making the jump to hyperspace. Join the fun at your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Look at the size of that thing.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hey, we're back. Sorry. we enjoy each other's company so much that we have to chat off the air, too.
Sorry.
I found a couple of really interesting interviews, again, as I said, from this website. Real quickly.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Ooh.
Sonos does an interview on starpulse.com, and they basically talk about, what happened to them after they left. And, I just haven't been a fan, and I find this interview really whiny. And so, where
Where's
are
that?
pedals, for God's sake? Starpulse.com. Here you go.
Okay.
Here, you can read it. Then they did the sing-off interview for Kinfolk 9 after their exit. And the main thing that I got out of that was, it was one of the girls who they interviewed, not Moy, and she said, we weren't going to be the best a cappella group of the sing-off because we were just inexperienced, but I'm proud of us. And I thought that was a really great way of looking at it. You know, they did their best. They were a little out of their element, but I think they did a really good job and, didn't make it the whole way, but they made it as far as they did, and they did a good job. So the main news story I wanted to read is about Sarah Bareilles, and this is from the Lehigh Valley Music blog.
Ooh, exclusive.
I know. I'd never heard of them before, but I did a fair amount of work researching tonight.
did.
So Sarah Bareilles was on tour with Sugarland. And they're the ones who had the stage collapse August 13th.
Yeah.
She had gotten off stage 20 minutes before that happened and was standing 25 feet away from the stage with Sugarland ready to go on stage when the stage collapsed. And she said that it's a profound experience that I won't ever forget. I mean, the experience was horrific, but it brought us really close as people. So it's probably the closest I've ever felt to a touring family in my entire career.
God, I had no idea she was that close.
Yeah, so she'd been touring with them. The other thing, just to add a little bit of a lighter note to that situation, and not that situation can have a light note, but Sarah Bareilles also, she'd been touring with Sugarland for a while, and she was not very familiar with touring with a country band. And she said that since this was her first country music tour, she really learned quickly that she shouldn't swear on stage. And it's a family show, she says, but I have a horrible potty mouth. I swear like a trucker. And it's something I don't try to hide in my own shows. But I learned. I curbed my nasty tongue for the Sugarland shows, and it worked out good. The audiences are very, very sweet, and they're really wonderful music lovers. And I kind of share that with her. Especially when I'm mad or excited. I have a bit of a potty mouth too, but I've been really good at curbing it here. You've never heard me swear, have you, Ronnie?
I don't think so. No, you haven't. You're squeaky
I'm gonna
clean.
say you haven't.
You're squeaky clean so far.
So that's one of those.
Well, now
things.
you have various reputations you have to protect. So,
That's true. That's
you
true.
don't get to
You,
play that.
however, have heard me swear many times, and in fact, I've
And I'm
sworn
still-
at you
I'm still
probably
home.
more than once.
I'm still home free. I can still do it because I can get away with it.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah.
So that's pretty much everything I have for the news and gossip for this
Okay.
week because we're running a little
We
bit
are
over.
late.
So next week is hip hop. What are your predictions?
Your AfterBuzz.
My predictions. My predictions is I'm going.
I feel like I could fly.
I'm going to be
Jesse,
lost.
you entertain me.
I'm going to be lost in a lot of the songs, and I'm not going to have anything to hang my hat on.
I know.
And I'm just going to have to go, okay, I don't know that song either, but what they do with what I don't know.
I'll bring my computer and we'll do YouTube videos right before.
That's actually what I plan on doing.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
The only
and-
thing is, wherever you get it, then I find out who's been kicked off, and I don't want to know
No,
that.
no, not necessarily, because early in the day of next Monday, earlier in the day, that's when they publish the song choices before
really?
the show has aired.
Okay.
So you can
They've
find that
actually
at.
talked about some of the artists that are already going to perform next week.
Oh, right.
He
I'm sure
jumped
they
ahead.
have.
He
Yeah.
said Kanye West.
Right.
That's
That's
gonna be-
right. That's right. So you'll be able to find them and know them. But the other thing is you're going to look at them from a fresh eye and
Yeah.
or fresh perspective and really be able to not be so swayed by the original version. So
We'll see.
that could be interesting. What about you, Ronnie? You're a big hip hop fan, right?
Sure.
Or
Yeah. No.
somewhat
I
of a
like,
hip hop
no,
fan.
no. I like all music,
Yeah,
so
you
that's definitely good. I think I want to know what Kanye West song they'll do. Stronger could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's with so much passion, so whoever gets that, his type of music
Right.
will be exciting. I think it'll be a good
Right.
show. I like that because we're going on all these different zones.
Yeah.
We've done guilty pleasures and now hip hop, and
Right.
we'll probably do country or blues. I don't know.
Maybe they'll do some freaking Beach Boys for Steve, for God's sake.
I was just going to say, I don't think there's any Beach Boys next week.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see Vocal Point, the Mormons, do hip hop.
Yellow Jackets too.
And the Yellow Jackets.
I want to
as
see
well.
the Yellow Jackets. Yeah. Yellow Jackets most improved today for me, or like not most improved, like they were bad, but they brought it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for a couple of those groups, and it'll be a fun show as they all have been. So start watching it, people. If you're
Yeah.
watching us, you've seen the show.
I just want to say, our show, we were number 4 and number 10 on iTunes within AfterBuzz. I want to be number 1. But number 4 and number 10 coming together is
14.
pretty big. It's 14. We're also number 14.
Yeah.
We're 4 and 10 and 14 as of today on iTunes.
Jesse so wants to go home right now.
I want to bring it up. I want to be number 1.
We're going for number
so tell
1.
your friends. Download
Tweet
us on
us,
iTunes.
yeah.
Listen. iTunes. Websites, anybody, anything to promote?
Nah,
real quickly?
still in
Let's just
development.
plug
Oh,
in
me,
here.
I do. TamaraCentral.com.
Oh,
And you
hey.
can find me on Twitter at Tamara Jewelry.
And where can we find your TV shows?
In El Paso, Texas, you can watch me on the Tamara Twist.
Sweet.
Everywhere you turn
If
in
you'd
the
like to
United
see it
States.
on your PBS station, call them and go, oh my God,
I want to
there's a
see
show
you on
in El Paso.
Ben Folds' show.
I
just
know, me
saying.
and Ben Folds. Call me, Ben. We will see you next week for Hip Hop on the Sing Off. See you then, guys.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.